Hello and welcome to a Bit of Film podcast. I'm Hatty.
And I am James.
This podcast is for film lovers, spoiler chasers, and general banter. We are two Brits in lockdown with too much time on our hands talking about films.
We both hold degrees and jobs in the creative arts. Yes, our parents are so proud that it ultimately led to this podcast. So we might go into some behind the scenes or production elements you might not know or be familiar with.
We release episodes every 2 weeks, talking about the latest film and TV offerings. If you love excessive defending of plot holes and mispronouncing actors' names, this is for you.
Please be advised we discuss spoilers, so please turn off if you haven't seen or keep listening if you don't care.
This week on the podcast, we are talking about the 5th episode of Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Following the public murder of John Walker, aka Captain America, Sam and Bucky must fight him to get the shield back. After returning home, Sam and Bucky wrestle with the future legacy of Captain America.
I'm looking forward to this one.
Me too.
Because I'm curious. I'm curious to hear if the words that I've been longing for this season are going to be said by you. I'm not going to tell you what they are. News this week. First and foremost. So it was Helen. Oh God, I'm pronouncing her name wrong already.
Helen McCrory passed away.
McCrory, yeah. So she's passed away from cancer.
And it sounds like she's had it for several years as well, and that she's been kind of suffering. But didn't tell anyone as well.
Yeah, I don't know. You wouldn't really in that situation, would you? Because I suppose as soon as you, if you, for instance, told the same with Chadwick Boseman, I suppose. If you told your producers or whatever you're working on, because presumably she was filming Peaky Blinders.
Yeah.
Don't know if she finished filming that series. I don't know if they've wrapped up yet. I think they're still filming it.
Gosh.
If you imagine going through that, and then if you were telling your producers or whoever you have to talk to for that sort of thing, they'd probably pull you off.
Yeah.
That would be worse, surely, because then you can't do the one thing that you love to do. Fair enough. It's such a shame though. I don't know her from an awful lot. I think Peaky Blinders and then Harry Potter are the key ones.
She was in The Queen, and she did a lot of theatre work. So I saw her Medea, I think.
I know the National Theatre at the moment. They've got quite a lot of recorded performances that she took part in, which I quite fancy watching actually.
She did. Is it Ibsen? She did one of the Ibsens as well at the National Theatre, which was bloody brilliant. Yeah, no, she's an amazing actress, and I'm so sorry that she's passed away, because I would love to have seen her do Margaret in Richard III, because it would have just been so badass and just complete auntie kind of her peaky.
She was pretty badass.
True.
Again, the characters that I know her for, they were all very. They weren't passive. They were very aggressive, so to speak. Even in Harry Potter, I think in Harry Potter, maybe she probably had a bit of a more of a backseat role. But she's still. I remember the scene when it's her first appearance in Half-Blood Prince when they go to see Snape to do the Unbreakable Vow. I think that was her first scene.
She's in 3 of them, so yeah. No, so she must be in the 6th one and then the 7 and 8.
In the last 3. But still understated, I suppose, in terms of the grand scheme of the film. Yeah, still very standout. Yeah, it's a real shame.
Yeah. I was heartbroken when that came through. Yeah. Oh.
It was the fact that she was 53 or she was in her 50s, but she wasn't old. It's
poor kids as well, and Damian Lewis must just be. Oh no, it's just so tragic.
Damian Lewis, who I had no idea she was married to.
Oh, didn't you? Oh no, I knew.
No idea. Absolutely no idea. But,
go and listen to the Desert Island Discs, which is hilarious. Have you heard of Desert Island Disc? It's on Radio 4, and basically you have to pick 6 tracks. You're stranded on a desert island and you only have 6 tracks.
Oh, I feel like I've heard of it. People must have talked about it when I've been around. Yeah, so I think that's the key news this week. What else have we got? Oh, Emilia Clarke has supposedly joined Marvel's Secret Invasion project at Disney Plus. Yeah, Disney Plus series that they are slowly developing. Do you know anything about that one?
Nope.
Okay. Secret Invasion, I think, was a storyline within the comics, which was to do with the Skrulls, so the shapeshifters from Captain Marvel.
Okay.
So they've already established sort of within the MCU that they've got these Skrulls impersonating people. What was it? Was it the end of Far From Home where it's revealed that the Nick Fury in that film is actually one of the Skrulls?
Yes.
So they're building up to the Secret Invasion project. No idea what character Emilia Clarke is playing, which is quite exciting. So that's
Yeah.
got Nick Fury. I mean Nick Fury, but Samuel L. Jackson attached, and then also I think Ben Mendelsohn's also reappearing in that as well. So
Awesome. That'd be exciting.
it sounds like it could be
Yeah.
cool. I mean, I'm a bit cautious about that one because it sounds like one of the films that it sounds like one of those things that they could make into a film. We'll see how they bring it into a series.
Yeah.
Oh, it'll be interesting.
So yes, we are on to Truth, which is, of course, episode 5 of Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Penultimate episode, people. This is getting serious. So, finally, we have all the pieces in place. We've got John on the run. We've got Carly ready for war. Zemo's up in court. Sam's finally embracing his true destiny. And yeah, bring it on.
So what we're saying is the last 5 episodes were build up.
Yes.
For whatever is going to happen in the next episode.
Definitely. Yeah, everyone's just kind of, they've got to, fire up their butts this time. I'm really looking forward to the next one. Like, I genuinely, I want to talk about this one, but, I'm just yes, where is this going to go? Come on.
This was very much, I say a mellow episode. I don't mean that in a critical way, because it is exactly how you described. It's like the final episode where all the pieces are coming together, where we're going to have a big action-packed finale. Well, hopefully, big action-packed finale that's happening in the next episode. Yeah, it was like we have this confrontation between Walker, Bucky, and Sam at the very beginning, but then the rest of the episode,
as you predicted, so well done. Yep,
it had to happen.
Yeah.
It had to happen, surely. I mean, we had that at the very beginning, which was the action moment, as it were. But then, the rest of the episode was, a lot more. I don't know. It was such a
subdued. I think I'd say
it was definitely subdued, but I think it was a mixture of, dare I say it, a mixture of emotions, a mixture of tones, so to speak. Because you've got the whole. We still have the scenes with Isaiah, which we'll move on to later, definitely. Which are obviously a bit
big
more hard.
Surprise appearance. You mean just a reoccurring actor from episode 2? Okay, all right. After this whole big thing we made about last week of who's it gonna be? Who's gonna turn up? And then it was oh, okay, it's just Isaiah. It's back. Cool. Okay, that's cool.
Wait, hold on. Are you assuming that was the cameo that they were all talking about?
Yeah.
No, right. We'll move on to that later. That's not that wasn't the cameo that they were talking about.
Sorry.
Yeah, no. So you have the scenes with like Sam and Isaiah, which was obviously much more. The themes that they were dealing with were a lot more serious, and then you obviously had the whole rebuilding the boat scenario, which was a bit more.
I liked that.
Yeah,
it was kind of small town.
I really like that. I really like that. And I mean, at the end of the day, it's 5 episodes. We're kind of expecting now Sam and Bucky to get along better. And let's face it, for the last 5 episodes, they haven't. They've kind of been buddy, but there's been hostilities towards them. So when you look at it, when they're bickering children in episode 2, and then you've got this whole sequence where they're basically building the boat together, and they're having effectively a therapy session when they're sort of throwing the shield and retrieving it like one another. It was, dare I say it, it was the character development I hope you were hoping for.
Oh, completely. Just the shield throwing scene. I just was and thank you. Finally, we're having some character development. Finally, there's some wants of these characters. And the conflict, the internal conflict of Sam during that was, I think it's mean to just say it was that scene. The whole episode, really, from when they returned home, was really focused on that. And the Isaiah scene was just phenomenal for that.
That was so good.
And what was said, what wasn't said, just that whole piece. And then even Sarah, Sam's sister, just coming in, just being you still going to listen to Isaiah? Is that's he's going to define what you do, and just be finally, yes. Thank you, Marvel. Thank you.
But that's when we were talking about episode 2, and we were, for want of a better word, shocked that they were going down that route when the police were stopping Sam. And I remember saying that I hope that's not just a throwaway thing. I hope they haven't just thrown that in there to tick a box. And this is the payoff. This is why they set that up in episode 2. I'm so glad that they did.
Yeah.
When you were talking about what does Sam want? What's his motivation? Again, I think this kind of answers a lot of the questions. Not what he wants necessarily, but I suppose that's his whole internal conflict. Why we have this entire series where he's not taking the shield up.
I would say I do now know what he wants, is that he wants to be able to pick up the shield with a clear conscience. And I just feel they didn't present his internal conflict enough to show that was what was holding him back. Because now it seems like, oh, okay, yeah, you did totally leave the breadcrumbs for this. But it was so subtly done that I kind of was like, yeah, okay. I just... You could have added those moments in throughout the series and it wouldn't have been a problem. And it would have just made Sam a richer character. But I don't want to be critical because, like, this episode was good.
We've got to look at it from a series perspective. Like, at the end of the day, this is like each episode is supposed to build on the previous episode and flesh out the characters, flesh out the story. Which, yes, I mean we said at the very beginning of this that it feels like this has been 5 episodes of build up to a point. This is waiting for the big finale. But again, it's following the typical Marvel film formula, but it's stretched out over 6 hours. So it's kind of like if you went back now and watched episodes 1 to 5 or 1 to 6 when the next one comes out, you've got that complete journey. You probably identify, like you say, all the little breadcrumbs and appreciate them a bit more. Not to say that's necessarily how a series should work, but
yeah, that's my thing.
Again, the fact that this is the prelude to the final battle, as it were, the big boss battle. I mean, I'm imagining that there's going to be less character development in the final episode because that's just going to have to be the whole tie everything up with a nice big bow, big action sequences, set up either future projects or future movie appearances. So this is the point where basically the end of the road of the development, so to speak, had to happen.
Yeah.
Arguably, I mean, again, taking your comments from the previous episodes, it's kind of like, well, we had Sam at episode 1 and we finally got his development in episode 5. There was no real obvious development or obvious arc, so to speak. We kind of got all the answers and all the development that we were asking for in this episode, which kind of argues is the rest filler.
Yes.
Which I do agree with, don't agree with in certain aspects. I do think that, like you say, I think there were breadcrumbs to do with his character. Like the whole conversation that Sam had with Carly. Like when he goes in there and has that exchange with her, he's trying to talk her down. I mean, even in this episode, he tries to talk down John.
That was beautifully done. And I was actually a bit angry at this moment because I was like, and you couldn't have done that with Bucky? We couldn't have seen you trying to do this with Bucky? No.
Yeah, but we start to say, all right, fair enough. Yes, so it's weird. We've been through this before in terms of it's weird that like Sam was the one to reach out to Bucky. I mean, we know in context from the first episode, and then as soon as Bucky shows up, he's like, Bucky, just go away, leave me alone. I'm on a mission, leave me alone. But we do see that in this, like the whole shield throwing scene between Sam and Bucky. We do see that again. We see Sam sort of leaning into that whole, I dealt with soldiers with trauma. He tells him, he turns around and says, Bucky, like at the end of the day, if you want some tough love, you want to get out of that hole, you've got to do the work. And there was, what did I see? I saw it on one of the social media channels after the episode, but it's one of those little details that really makes you love the episode. When Sam asks, are you still having those dreams? Bucky says, like, every night. And he lied about that to the therapist in the first episode. And it's like, oh, he trusts him. Like, they trust each other. And it's just little details like that I think fantastic.
For me, that scene was about the fact that Sam wasn't going to engage until Bucky did. So, like, watching the episode, I went, oh, okay, that's what you were trying to do. You were trying to say that it wasn't that Sam didn't care. It was just that Sam wasn't going to give all of his effort to Bucky unless he was certain that it was going to get through. Because if he was going to try and force Bucky to change, he knew that wasn't going to work. So it was almost like he had to play out Bucky's anger. But to me, that just wasn't placed throughout enough to give us that kind of nice payoff of like, oh, Sam actually knows what he's doing. Because he does. It just didn't seem like it initially.
I'd still argue from certain episodes that Sam didn't know what he was doing. He was just kind of along for the ride. We've seen breadcrumbs in it throughout the series, obviously notably with Carly, and then trying to talk down John, and then obviously having that conversation with Bucky. I suppose in terms of like, because we know that both the Falcon Sam and Bucky, at some point in the comics, become Captain America. So there was still the question. I think this whole series was kind of the question of like who was going to become the next Captain America, and I think this is arguably it was quite obvious, because otherwise you wouldn't have put that scene at the end of Endgame. Again, the subtle differences between the two of them, like when they're having that confrontation with Walker at the very beginning. As we said before, Sam's trying to talk him down. He's trying to make him to come in peacefully, and Bucky's not. Bucky's there looking at the shield with covered in blood and thinking, no, I'm gonna tear into this guy. He's gonna pay for what he's done to my friend's legacy. And it's like, at the end of the day, that's not the essence of Captain America, and Sam has been showing that.
Oh, it was just,
So
that scene was brilliant. Like, just, I really enjoyed that first kind of fight, because you got these moments of, like, they actually looked like they were struggling. That's what I really liked about that scene. The fight between John, Sam, and Bucky, was like, there were moments and I was like, they should be just crushing him. That's what they should be doing, because he's just one super soldier. But because there was so much anger and like emotion in that scene, it worked that it was actually quite hard. Yeah, just the symbolism of like Sam holding it afterwards, the pain on Bucky's face and during it as well. Yeah.
Oh god, yeah. There's so many things I could say about that first scene. So Bucky picks up the shield and he's wearing it like he would with Captain America, and then he walks over to Sam who's lost his wings. He's on the floor. He's not beaten, but he's down, so to speak, and he just drops it next to him, and there's no dialogue. He just looks at him and says, "Don't give that up again."
Yeah. Oh.
And then walks off. It's
so beautiful. It was everything the character should be.
Brilliant.
It should be Bucky being the blunt one, like, nope, I'm not gonna let you forget that one. And Sam just, broken. I think his worst fears have been realised, and that was what that scene just embodied. Was that just great, arc of that he was like, okay, I've got no other choice now, to be true to my friend, true to the shield. I've got to pick it up, and I was like, oh, yay! I'm so happy.
Well, to a point he didn't, did he? Because at that point he was like, he took the shield, but then he went to speak to Socider, and then he went home.
Whoa, you saw Torres first though.
Yeah.
So you knew that he'd given up the wings.
Oh, he'd given up the wings, but I think that was more like, I don't think in that moment he was like, keep him because I'm going to become the next Captain America. That I don't think that was necessarily what was going. He still was struggling with that decision, because the entire episode, in terms of him going to see Isaiah, even in terms of the pep talk that Sarah gives him, and then the whole dialogue that he has with Bucky, I don't think he walks away knowing that he's going to pick up the shield at that point. No. It's still a struggle.
He knows it's his to decide with next. It's his decision now. That's how I felt.
Yes,
it was.
I suppose that's fair. I mean, I think part of it was just the fact that at the end of the day, the wings had, I don't know, been torn asunder, and there was nothing to be done with them, I suppose. I mean, he hasn't fixed Red Wing at this point either. So
that's true. True.
I'm going to assume that they were damaged beyond repair. But it's interesting now because, and I am leaning on comic book logic here, but Torres is supposed to succeed as Falcon when Sam becomes Captain America.
Ooh, interesting.
The fact that in that scene Sam has left the wings with Torres, it implies that maybe not in the next episode. I think that might be. I mean, you never know.
At the speed we're going through character development, James, we just don't know.
I mean, yeah, that's true. That's true. You never know.
But no, it would be a little quick. I agree.
Yeah, you never know. Where was I going with that? Oh no, I was going to go on to John Walker as well. So
we go on to him back in the States, or him in that scene.
Well, him in general, him from that first scene, and then when he's basically being reprimanded for what happened. Just Wyatt Russell is so good.
I know. He gets better every time. Literally, yeah.
I mean, there's still certain things. I mean, there's certain things it's not that I don't like about how they've done the character. I just obviously about the character. And this is obviously partly done by the fact that because he took the serum and it's enhanced all of his aspects, so to speak. The fact that he's saying that, like, I am Captain America, they don't know what it means to be Captain America. He's obsessed by it.
Yeah.
He's obsessed by that now. And I'm jumping a little forward now to the mid-credit scene. He's starting to forge his own shield. And it's that obsession. I mean, there's a lot of things about his character, which is like the whole thing when he's in, I'm going to say court, it might not be court, like a tribunal or whatever. He's saying like you made me, I followed your rules, I've done what you asked, and now you're just throwing me aside. Like he's a very complicated character, but he's not a straight up evil guy. This is the point. This is the problem. Everyone hated him from the off.
But he followed the rules. He fundamentally followed the rules, yeah.
Well, yeah, this is harking back to the fact that he's a good soldier, as opposed to I still think in certain aspects he's also a good man, but he's first and foremost a soldier, and that was part of the comparisons that we were putting against Steve Rogers.
Mm.
The whole reason that Steve Rogers was picked for the whole super serum program in the first place was that he had a good heart, he was a good man, before a soldier, and that was what was more important. Yeah, no, I read it again. I read a tweet. I think you can say I spend a lot of time on social media at the moment, but it was describing. So Steve Rogers was the embodiment of what America thought it was. John Walker is the embodiment of what America is, and Sam is the embodiment of what it should be.
Aww. Oh, that's
which
really
I thought
nice.
was very, very profound.
Yeah.
It's kind of one of these situations where I think, are we just picking apart and finding lots of meanings where there weren't any?
I don't mind. I'm happy with that. That's really sweet, and I like that. And it's dark and all the rest of it.
No, I really liked it. I thought it was a very good deconstruction of it. But it's like, you know, when you're like doing English literature or something like that, and
oh yeah,
you're reading the book and the teacher's like, the writer was foreshadowing this or meaning this, and I'm like, did they know? Or are you just?
Oh yeah.
Have we just deconstructed this text for not thousands of years, hundreds of years, and just found multiple meanings in it? That's me being very cynical.
Well done, James. I think you've got an A on your GCSE English literature right there. Well done.
I did. Yeah. I did get an A in my English literature. So, but I think that tweet in particular was very interesting. And I think now the fact that we've had the two different Asaya scenes linking up and almost colouring in certain aspects of Sam's journey, I'm seeing it more and more. It just really, it's a case of how clever Marvel is in terms of how they're treating this. At the end of the day, Marvel's very much known for straight up superheroes, sky beams, blowing up stuff, and people very rarely in peril.
No, that's true.
Well, yeah, I think they've done a good job with that. It's not something I expected from this series, put it that way. But I think there's a lot of respect for it doing it.
My thing just comes down to the fact that because they're using a feature film format, everything has to be a mirror. So Isaiah is in 2 and 5. And it's just, you know, the rule of feature films is it has to be a mirror, the first half to the second half. So I understand why they've done it, but to me as a TV series, that arc doesn't quite fit sometimes. So yes, I'm really happy that they've done this, and I just wish they'd spread it through a little bit more. That's all I want.
Yeah, well, there's still that element of, I mean, you've raised it before, that it's almost like they didn't have enough content or story to stretch it over 6 episodes. So that's why certain episodes feel a bit more like filler, so to speak, and it's less about Sam and Bucky's journey. I mean, we talked about the fact that Zemo and Sharon were both the more interesting characters in the episode that they were in. I think that's again because they were padding it out. They were trying to, they were trying to stretch it out across 6 seasons. At the end of the day, if they took this idea to the execs at Marvel and said, we want to do a film about Falcon and Winter Soldier, do it like a buddy road trip sort of thing, and they're like, sounds great, but don't want it as a movie. It's not big enough for a movie. So can you make it into a series? And they're like, oh, right, okay. So let's figure out how we put all these pieces together. So yeah, I do get it. And I think, again, that's why we found all the character development in episode 5. Rightfully or wrongfully.
I even love the fact that with John Walker, they gave us that scene where he goes to see Lamar's parents and straight up lies.
Oh God, yeah.
That was just like, that was a punch in the gut, and just, again, wonderful performance by Wyatt Russell of just being this character who's complex and just has these horrible things, but he's standing in front of his best friend's parents. Of course he's going to lie, because how else is he ever going to live with himself?
This is it. I think it's partial guilt to a point. Deep down, he knows he's done wrong. I mean, we know that for when he run away and he's in the warehouse and he's on his knees and in despair. It's only when Sam and Bucky turn up and Sam broaches the fact that you've got to give me the shield. That's when he turns. And again, it's going back to the whole, like, the serum has almost made him obsessed with this idea of what it means to be Captain America. The fact that Sam wanted to take the shield away, that's when the anger came in. That's when the fight or flight moment came in. Like, John's coming up with excuses. He knows he's done wrong. He knows he's killed the wrong person. He lashed out in anger. But if he admits that to Lamar's parents, he's admitting it to himself, and that's something he can't do.
Yeah. Yay, I'm so happy. This just, yay, stuff's happening. We have to talk about Julia Louis-Dreyfus as Contessa Valentina Fontaine. Wait.
Oh, you almost got it there. Yeah, Contessa Valentina Allegra de Fontaine.
I'll leave that to you. Yeah.
That's because I've got it up on my screen just so I could get it right. Yeah, so she was actually the mysterious cameo.
Oh, okay. Why?
So, well, I had to do some research. Basically, I think the producers and the writers wrongfully hyped up this cameo to a point because basically, from what I've read, this character, slight spoiler warning, is due to appear or was due to appear in Black Widow.
Right.
That's why this would have been the cameo in Falcon and Winter Soldier, because in the original timeline, Black Widow would have already been out in cinemas. That would have come out, and then we'd have this series following it, I think. So I think that's where the cameo element came in.
Thank you, James. You have totally now. Yeah, I was just like, what am I missing with this? This now makes so much more sense. Sorry. Yeah. Keep going.
This is it. I have no idea about the character. That's why I had to do a bit of research, because I was like, well, they're making a big deal about this person. There was no other mysterious cameo. What am I missing? So yes, this character, the character has a bit of a complex thing in the comics. From what I understand, she's kind of like the anti-Nick Fury, I think is the best way she's described it. I think in the comics she actually has a relationship with Nick Fury, but it then turns out that she's actually a member of Hydra, I think, because one of her aliases was called Madame Hydra.
Cool.
I don't know. This is where all the different Marvel storylines sort of cross into one. I think she also has a connection to the Secret Invasion storyline, which is the Skrulls, which we were talking about earlier on the news section. So they're obviously setting up something further down the line. Like she's almost recruiting the anti-heroes, so to speak.
Cool.
Which is why, I mean, she's like an anti-Nick Fury.
So we're basically saying that Marvel are getting ready to make their own Suicide Squad. Is that what I'm hearing, James?
A little bit. A little bit. There's two things to this, and I'm glad you brought that up, because, again, I've gone down theory rabbit holes. I'm going to lean into Zemo as well here.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, you're quite right. I think we are kind of gearing up to a slight Suicide Squad thing. I don't know the ins and outs of her character, but what I know is she has some sort of affiliation with Hydra, and she has a connection to the Secret Invasion storyline. Basically, they're starting to world build for Phase 4. I'm presuming she will appear in the films, particularly if she appears in Black Widow, then they're setting her up to also reappear in future Marvel full-on projects.
She's awesome, so as it does not surprise. When I saw her, I was like, this is not the last time we're seeing her. Like, you do not hire her unless you know she's coming back.
Exactly. I was almost getting Agatha vibes, though.
Yes. Yeah, the purple streak did not help on that one. But yeah, no, I definitely got her.
Just the whole sort of like flamboyancy of her character. It's like when she gave the card to Walker's wife and she's turning it over and it's blank. It's like, I'm already in love with this character.
Oh yeah, completely.
I thought she was awesome. I mean, again, it's one of those moments where she absolutely stole the scene. And at the end of the day, neither of the other two characters got a word in edgeways, which was, I think, the point. She was deemed the big cameo, which wasn't really the tear-jerking moment I think they described it as. So I don't know what the writers are talking about.
Tear-jerking, that's what they said?
I thought so, yeah, because everyone was thinking, oh, have they got did Chadwick Boseman film a little bit before he passed away? So I generally thought that was what was going to happen here.
You see, this is why I'm very glad that last time I said that I'm going to hold back my reservation on this because of they do things like this, Marvel, which you're like, so what was that about? That was just... Oh, sorry.
Pretty much. Well, that's exactly... Yeah, I've said it before, the whole Paul Bettany situation. That's why
Exactly.
Judgment. Anyway, yes, I think her appearance in here basically was, again, setting up her appearance in further projects. And, yeah, let's say the Marvel version for Suicide Squad. But, yeah, no, so building on that, that's what I was going to say before I went off on a tangent. So, with Zemo, and we can talk a bit more about the whole Zemo scene in a second.
Okay.
Zemo's basically being sent to the Raft now. So he's been taken by the Wakandans. He's going to get sent to the Raft, which is the underwater prison that we see in Civil War.
Mm-hmm.
Which I presume still in the MCU is being run by General Ross, I think he's called.
I will take your word for it. Yep.
So yeah, building on your Suicide Squad vibes, there is again I think another comic book storyline or something called the Thunderbolts, which is a team of anti-heroes put together by General Ross, presumably to do missions that the Avengers can't do.
Are you getting also vibes of Scarecrow in Arkham Asylum from Batman Begins, kind of?
Sure.
Well, we got Arkham Asylum, which is the same as the underwater prison, which I forgot the name of already.
The Raft.
The Raft, thank you.
Anyway, yeah.
The Raft, or is it the Raft or the Raft?
Depends on which side of the country you're on.
Okay.
But yeah, no. So there's the fact that they brought Zemo back and they've put him in the raft, and obviously we've now got John Walker, who at the end of the day, we'll see what happens to him in the next episode. But it is almost there's rumors that they could be alluding to the fact that they might be doing this kind of, I'm going to say, Suicide Squad sort of series, which
I'm
I
okay
have to
with.
say it. I kind of want to see. Yeah.
It's going to be like Guardians and, there'll be other kind of... Yeah, that could be cool.
But then there's just a kind of weird moment where Marvel are starting to copy DC, which I never thought would happen.
Yeah. DC have spent so long trying to be Marvel that we've kind of forgotten that Marvel can try and be DC. Oh.
But yeah, no, I was so out of curiosity then, what did you think of the Zemo scene?
Did it feel too easy?
What do you mean?
Like, it was almost like he wanted to be taken after he specifically told them where he was going to be.
Oh, no, see, I think, I mean, yes, he told them how he visited the memorial, so yes, it was pretty obvious that was where he was going.
Yeah, it was like, yeah.
The fact that, I don't know how Zemo's mind works. At the end of the day, I think, I mean, we know that Zemo expected Bucky to kill him. That's what, and at the end of the day, in Civil War, Zemo tries to take his own life, and it's only because T'Challa's there that he doesn't. It's the whole thing of like the living aren't done with you yet, which is still a really cool line. So I mean, I suppose Zemo was going back to the memorial to effectively remember because he lost his entire family there.
But he also was kind of admitting defeat at the same time.
Oh, Christ, yeah. You've kind of turned around my perspective. Yeah, because if his whole point was to take down the super soldiers...
He kind of failed.
I mean, he's failed on all accounts.
Yeah.
And it's like, when Bucky turns up and he's like, don't worry, I've decided not to kill you. And it's like, oh, great, I feel so much better. Yeah.
You can't see Bucky just being like, what?
How are you going to do that? I mean, I know you're good, but you can't control me anymore. At the end of the day, they had to wrap up Zemo somewhere.
I think they just need him in that prison.
Yes, well, right, so I do agree. I think basically they were like, okay, so Zemo has done what we need him to do. Now we need to get him out of there. So yeah, they've basically just set him up in the raft. Well, I don't know why the Wakandans have taken him to the raft, to be perfectly honest. Why wasn't he in the raft in the first place? He was in a German prison.
Because they got there first.
I don't know. I would have thought the Wakandans... Well, I mean, I thought the Wakandans were just going to straight up kill him. I mean, they clearly don't care for international laws.
Yeah, but they don't want to get caught.
They do whatever the plot needs them to do.
This is true. Yes.
I like the scene where Bucky's pointing the gun at him and then he just pulled the trigger, but obviously there's no bullets in, and he drops all the bullets on the ground. And it's that whole thing. Oh, Zemo was prepared to die. He was there. He even gives the nod to Bucky, and then he's denied death again. And he's like, and then he sees the Dora Milaje like coming up behind him, and he's like, "Okay, I'm not getting out of here. I'm going to resign to my fate."
Yeah,
no,
it just felt a little bit too easy. That's all my thing. But if
it was one of those moments which was basically tying up one of the loose ends, and also setting up Bucky to ask for a favor or another favor, so to speak. It's like, yeah, I bust this guy out of prison that killed your king, and you helped me get over the Winter Soldier code words or whatever, but you still owe me a favor?
Yeah.
That's the one. Yeah. So it's like, at what point, Bucky, did they owe you a favor? Other than the fact you fought at Wakanda, what part did they owe you? But how else is Sam going to get a new piece of armor?
They're just really nice. And also they put in a fail-safe with his arm, so maybe that's what the favor is. You can completely de-arm me in about 4 seconds.
Yeah. You betrayed my trust. Yeah. I definitely didn't betray yours when I broke out Zemo. No, it was a bit of an easy scene. I thought it was a nice scene. I thought it was a good scene. But yeah, it was a bit kind of like, right, here's the loose end. Let's tie it up. Let's get on with the show, sort of thing.
What was weird is that the line about him crossing his name out in Bucky's book, it was like, that. I didn't expect you to handle that quite so bluntly. I was like, oh, okay. But I mean, now we know, because of the Sam and Bucky scene, we know we're going to go back and meet the Asian dad and have to explain that bit. So like, I'm kind of like, Okay, I'll allow you a bad one if you do that properly. So.
I have completely forgotten about that.
Oh, James. James!
Oh, yeah. No, we're going to have the scene where he, yeah.
Yeah,
No,
the scene
you know,
that
you know
I
what?
was so angry about that they didn't do. They're now going to do it, and I'm like, okay, yeah, okay, fine.
You know what, Hattie? I'm going to do another little bit of a prediction.
Oh,
I
yeah.
don't think you're going to get that scene. I think what they're going to do. This is.
This is bold, James.
You know what? If I'm spot on, bloody hell! I think it's going to be a case of they're going to have Bucky knocking on the guy's door,
And Carly's going to
and he's
answer.
like, no. He's the old man's going to be there. This is
Oh,
going to be
okay.
like in the very closing moments of the show. He's going to knock on the door. The guy's going to be in there. He's going to be like, yeah, oh, you're back. Where have you been, so to speak? And then basically Bucky has some sort of dialogue which is like, I need to tell you something. And he's like, yeah, all right, okay, come inside. And he enters the room. The door closes, and that's all you get. I don't think you're going to get the emotional, heartfelt dialogue between the two. I think you're going to get the implication that it happened.
Can I add something to that? I think he's going to
Yeah.
walk in the room, and he's going to see something else in the room. Because is the guy Japanese or is the guy Chinese?
Don't ask me questions like
Okay,
that.
because if he's Chinese, isn't there the new Marvel film with the Chinese guy? Because that film is coming out, and if he is Chinese, that would be really cool. If it's like, so yeah, what I think is going to happen is he's going to walk in, sit on the sofa, and there's going to be something to do with that in the room.
He's going to be the Mandarin.
Ben Kingsley just walks in.
No, true, I suppose. I mean, yeah, maybe. I don't know. I mean, that would make sense if they've just released the trailer for that film, and then there's some sort of teaser to it. But I don't know. I feel like that's a bit shoehorned in.
Really? For Marvel, that's a bit shoehorned in, James.
Yeah. I said it out loud, and then I thought, well, of course.
You're right. Maybe it's a bit too prescriptive. But I will accept that. I think you're right. I think it'll just be him knocking on the door being like, I've got something to tell you. And me throwing something at the TV. Yeah, that's what's going to happen.
You do realise when I'm watching that episode, and if that happens, I'm like, I was right.
I will allow it.
No, because I know you want the full-on Zack Snyder hashing it out, emotions, dialogue. You want the hour-long exchange of that.
No, I just want it to be. I want it to be as good as the scene between Sam and Bucky. Is that too hard to ask? That's what I want. That's the level I expect. With the throwing the shield. Yeah, it's not going to happen. I can hit just your just I know, James. I can dream. Okay.
You know what? If I am spot on with that, pat on the back for me.
Right, let's go on to Zaya. That scene was just phenomenal. Like, I loved it. I absolutely loved it. There was just everything that was being said. You could just feel like Sam reacting to everything, and just kind of shrinking in size and beginning to question everything. It was just, yeah, it was so good.
I'm just going to have to get the actor's name because he was extraordinary. It was
Carl
so
Lumbly, Lumbly.
Not mispronouncing names. Yeah, Carl Lumbly.
Carl Lumbly, yeah.
Oh, yeah, actually, God, that's hard to say. Lumbly, yes, let's
Carl
go with
Lumbly.
that.
Carl Lumbly. We're English, we're sorry.
Carl, we're on first name terms now.
We are.
No, he was
phenomenal.
Yeah, I honestly don't know what to say. Because I want, for starters, I can't criticise it. I know we like to pull things apart on this podcast, but I can't touch that. I just thought no disrespect to Anthony Mackie. I don't think he could have done what Carl did in that scene. I think it definitely had to be Anthony Mackie. He had to be the reaction as opposed to telling
honest,
that story.
I actually think that Anthony Mackie's performance was just as good because it is so hard when someone is giving that good a performance to not just be like, you have to react, but at the same time you just be lost in how good that performance is. So I think Anthony Mackie
Sorry, that's not me criticising his performance in that scene. That's me thinking, like, at the end of the day, because we're in Marvel world, I wasn't expecting a scene like that. and to be done so well and almost so true to life. Because we talked about a cinematic universe where you've got superheroes flying around, you've got aliens, you've got sorcerers and all this sort of stuff. And here we are with this guy who's delivering this scene that is so transmissible in the real world. I mean, I was just entranced by it. I thought his performance was fantastic, the story was fantastic, and the fact that obviously tied into the whole reason that Sam's been struggling with that decision, I suppose. Yeah, it was just. I'm trying to think of other words to describe.
We're just throwing up our hands because we don't know what to say because we're just so in love with this.
Yeah. The whole thing when Sam walks into the garden and he's obviously got the shield in a bag and he says, "Is that what I think it is?" And Sam, like, without they don't say anything, it's almost like he expects a sire to want to see it, like it's something that he respects and something that he's, I don't know, like everyone else does, and he's like,
nope,
no, don't need to see that. Yeah,
which is great. It was to me, it was almost up there with like the Karate Kid moment where the main guy in that is like talking about his dead wife. It's up there with just this small moment, but it just has so many levels to it, and the fact that just so many information, like the POW camps, the fact that, like, you know, you get that moment where Sam goes, "Well, Steve didn't put you in jail," and it's like, yeah, but the organisation that made Steve, that did everything behind that, is responsible for this heinous action as well. It's just, it was just, and then the letters to his wife that didn't go through, and that was just sad and just, yeah. No, it was just...
There's one little thing, this isn't, sorry, sounds like I'm about to criticise it, I'm not. It was when he said there was a nurse.
Yeah.
There was a nurse who faked his death. To me, I was instantly thinking, who's the nurse? Who sorted that out? Who did that? I don't think that'll ever come to anything. I suppose that was just a throwaway line, but it almost made it sound like, I don't know, like it might have been Peggy Carter who got him out or something like that. I mean, wouldn't that be a story? What?
If they do a Back in Time one and they do a series just about him, I'm watching that. That sounds amazing.
God, yeah.
Imagine like Isaiah from like Getting Out. What happened next of like him on the run and stuff. That'd be so cool. I'm just making this up. Marvel won't listen. What am I saying?
Just having a series about Isaiah and I mean, you could also have Sebastian Stan coming back as the Winter Soldier because he doesn't age.
Yeah.
It's perfect.
Oh my God. It's so cool.
You could have him coming back as playing the villain. That would be fun. That would be pretty cool. Anyway,
stop it, James. We're running away.
We're running away with ideas. Marvel, if you would like to hire us.
Yes.
Hello. Yeah, no, I thought, I don't know if there's anything more to say. Honestly, it was such a good scene.
The line that was haunting was, "They will never let a black man be Captain America, and no self-respecting black man would want to be." And it was just like, oh my God, I'm in awe. And yeah, that was just...
It's the whole thing, even with Sam saying, like we've got to tell someone about this. We've got to get your story out. And he's like, "Do you not think I'd be dead in a day if you brought me out?" Because at the end of the day, we're talking about a government that cast aside Sam to promote a white man to the station of Captain America.
I know, and it was because it showed Sam's like idealism.
Yeah, at the end of the whole story of Isaiah and the POW camp, like you said, and the fact that they experimented on him to try and figure out why the serum worked on him, they would want to bury that.
And then he got everyone out, and then they died, and it was so sad. And it's just, it's just so sad. And I just thought, just the optimism of Sam that was just crushed in that scene was just like, it was amazing.
Well, this is it. I mean, if we're going back to like what you said in terms of when he leaves the wings with Torres, and then that's him. That's like the decision to take up the shield is his. Isaiah basically answered that for him, because at the end, after he's had that exchange, that's when he calls Sarah. That's when he says he's coming home, and he's almost like resigned to the fact that I can't do it.
out.
I can't take it up. And then it's Sarah who convinces him otherwise.
I've just realised that Torres with those wings is going to be like at the end of Guardians 2 with the guy trying to learn how to use Yondu's arrow.
Oh my God. Oh, that'll be one of the end credit scenes, won't it?
I'll be so
end
happy.
Credits. Torres is fiddling with the
flying
wings, and then, It'll be one of the moments in the very first Iron Man where Tony's doing one of the first tests and he just goes into the wall. Yeah, that'll be cool. But,
so yes, right, on to Sarah. I love how that Sarah had been like pretending that everything was fine, and then of course they can't sell the boat, so now Sam has to fix the boat. Sam sucks at fixing the boat. I mean, it was a bit shoehorned that Paul and Darlene, was it Paul and Darlene who were their parents?
Yeah.
They were just like, well, they were amazing, so let's just call in all the favours. It was convenient, but I'll allow it because it made a beautiful scene. So I'll allow it.
No, they have set up things like that before, because it's the whole thing. It's like this small town community,
I guess.
and we've even had again breadcrumbs of Sam talking about his, and I quote, Titi.
True. No. Yeah.
The whole thing about their community. It's how they all come together because they all know each other. It's not like how it probably is with you and I, where we don't know our neighbours.
Yeah,
they're all
that's true.
they're all part of a small community where they all look out for each other. They all do favours for one another. So I think it was all kind of sort of laid out, so to speak. Even one of the early episodes, I think, when his nephews, so Sarah's kids are going off to school. Like she sent food packages with them to give to other kids. And I think Sam makes a comment like, feeding every kid in the neighbourhood, you're just like mum.
It shows why Isaiah's opinion of America is so different to Sam's, because
he's put himself off.
Yeah. Exactly.
Quite rightly.
Yeah, Very, very different upbringings. Let's just say that. And then when Bucky just rocks up and just, you're welcome. How do you get off the truck? Yeah. You're welcome. Yeah.
It's even the little thing when he's, I don't know, one of the pipes have burst and he's using his right hand.
That was amazing.
And Sam's like, why didn't you use the metal arm? And he's like, well, I don't distinctly think
I'm right-handed.
it's the metal arm.
What was it? I don't think of it immediately. I'm right-handed. I literally think I had to pause it because I was laughing so hard at just how well that was just... I don't think of it.
No, it was the little moments like that. Oh, even the... So when Bucky stays at Sam's, and first off, the fact that the kids are playing with the shield and he's just watching them and smiling, I thought that was a really, really lovely moment. But also, again, I read on social media, Bucky was sleeping on the sofa. Mm-hmm. And apparently with PTSD, basically it was something along the lines of, if you're suffering with that, you'll tend to sleep on the floor because of the lack of comfort. And we do see in the first episode when he's having his nightmare and he wakes up, he was sleeping on the floor. He doesn't have any furniture. And there was just something that someone had taken from that. The fact that he's sleeping on the sofa at Sam's, it's the fact he feels safe and he feels comfortable there. Again, slight detail which will have gone over my head.
No, that was lovely.
Read into it. I like the fact that this episode slowed down and had this whole sequence of them fixing the boat, of the bonding, of them having that therapy session.
You're saying slow down. I'm saying speed up because it actually was giving character moments. You just mean the pace of it. You were talking pace.
Yes.
Not speed.
There's two different ways of because we've had all the other episodes where, as you've rightly pointed out, there's very little character development, but there's been lots of action sequences. And at the end of the day, it got its action sequence out of the way in the first scene, so to speak. And then, yes, the pace slowed down to allow for those moments to close off the character development. There probably will still be a bit more character development in the next episode, but
fingers crossed.
But this is where it kind of comes to a head. That's what I mean by slowing down.
Yeah.
For example, this episode would not have worked if there had been an action sequence at the end. It needed to be that way around.
Yeah. It took this episode to have the moment where Sam goes, "Don't flirt with my sister." Or I'll have Carlos cut you off and feed you to the fish.
Just going to correct you there. He definitely said flirt, not fuck.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. Don't flirt with my sister or I'll have Carlos cut you off and feed you to the fish. He definitely didn't say fuck. Although Anthony Mackie might have been one of the bloopers.
Possibly, yeah. That's very likely.
Yeah. Right, we'll move on. Sharon.
Oh, God, yeah.
I mean, this is like the third scene of her selling stuff, making phone calls, being suspicious.
Right. Sorry. Yes. Thank you for reminding me.
You're welcome, James.
Yes. Sorry. That whole, the phone call. Because, oh, God, because, I mean, we've all suspected that Sharon is the power broker, and I presume at this point, if it's not Sharon, then what the freaking hell have they been doing this entire season?
Yeah, what were the other 3 scenes dotted about of Sharon on the phone for no reason? Yeah, exactly.
Well, I could kind of understand it when she was assisting Sam and Bucky. But the difference in this scene is one. So we were under we know that the power broker is after Carly because Carly sold the serum.
Yeah.
But we have that scene where Sharon's making a call to Bartok, I think his name is. He's the guy. He was the guy who appeared in Winter Soldier, in the opening sequence of Winter Soldier. He was the pirate that Steve was fighting. He also appeared in the very first episode of this series because he's the one that Sam is fighting. And now he's back to aid Carly. So what I'm reading here is that Sharon basically hired Bartok to do the mission in the first place from the first episode. And now she's hired Bartok to deliver weapons to Carly, who, as far as we were concerned, she was after. So I'm very, very confused about what Sharon's playing at.
I fully expect it to be revealed in the next episode.
It was a bit of a curveball, basically, that one with Sharon, simply because at the end of the day, it implied that, yes, Sharon, whether she's the power broker or not, hired this guy to do the mission in the first episode, which Sam got involved in. And then there's a bit of ambiguity over the fact that the power broker, again, if it's Sharon, was trying to basically get Carly and now potentially working with them. I'm very confused by the motivations.
And Sharon did say that she was the one selling paintings, didn't she?
Art, yes.
She's selling art, so that was right. Okay, cool. No, I want to double check that one. But yeah, no, I'm curious to see what happens with that one. If she actually gets another cool scene, that would be nice. Maybe even an action one.
See, funny enough, yeah, you kind of hope. She's only had the one. Yeah, she's a character that they should have used way more in this season. Like, I mean, Zemo was a bit of a odd one, only because it felt like he was kind of being brought in because, oh, well, everyone liked him in Civil War. He has a history with Bucky. He'll work fine. And then the whole enemy of my enemy is my friend thing. But if they wanted like a third side character for a couple of episodes, so to speak, like they could have definitely made more of Sharon and make her like, because I think she's got an alias in the comics.
Right.
And as far as I'm aware, she doesn't turn bad. So it could have been a good way of kind of developing her. But then I suppose she's kind of got more to do as a villain if she turns out to be the villain. So
interesting.
I don't know. I'm kind of spitballing here. I feel like they did a really good job of Sharon in the episode when they were in Madripoor. But they've kind of just kept her on the fringes for now. And funny enough, going back to the fact that you thought that all the clues, all the breadcrumbs for Sam's character development, the fact that all that was very subtle, too subtle, let's say. If Sharon ends up being the power broker, that was not subtle.
No.
If anything, I would have preferred that element had been more subtle, and then we have the big reveal at the end. But there's no one else it can be.
No,
really, unless they bring in a brand new character as he or she's going to come back in future projects. I don't know.
So let's talk about Sam and Bucky scene. But first, I want to talk about the fact I want to know how they filmed that, because they should have been beheaded by that shield about 5 times in that sequence. And afterwards, when Sam's learning how to use it. Because that thing just goes way too fast. You need a vibranium arm to be able to catch it. Yes, that's just me being pedantic. And I know I should just accept it. But it looked like they should... It's a giant frisbee. That should kill you.
I mean, to quote Spider-Man, that thing does not obey the laws of aerodynamics.
True. Yeah.
And that is all I have to say on the matter.
Fine.
I think in this episode I have exceeded nerdisms.
You have, James. I'm very proud.
I have. Yeah. I'm not sure how I'm feeling about that.
You're a full Marvelite. It's all right. It's okay.
I embrace it.
Yeah.
I embrace it.
Go for it.
At least I'm knowledgeable about something.
You're knowledgeable about plenty, thank you very much. But it was great to see Sam counselling. Like, after me screaming at this fact, just being like, a trained psychologist. Well, I don't know if he's a counsellor, whatever he is. Trained, has just been ignoring this situation. And then to actually, like, confront it, it was like, yay, finally. And, you know, the line where Bucky goes, Steve and I didn't understand what it was like having a black man being given the shield. And it's like, yeah, it was on the nose, but it had to be said. And the way it was done in that kind of like intimate moment, I want to say, I don't want to make it sound like it was like a romance, but like it was like a kind of...
No, it's an intimate moment. It doesn't have to be romantic necessarily for it to be intimate.
That's true. But they'd broken so many kind of walls down to have that sequence. It was lovely. I mean, they destroyed the trees. I think Sarah's going to have some very angry words about this.
Yeah, no, I mean, I've already spoken a bit about that whole interaction between Sam and Bucky, but yeah, there was so many nice moments about it. Like even when Sam turns around and says, "This might surprise you, but it doesn't matter what Steve thinks," because I mean, and he's quite right. Like they're kind of holding Steve up to being this. I mean, yes, it is his legacy. He's like, Steve is just a man, and Steve is just their friend. At the end of the day, friends have different opinions. That's how it works. And I thought there was something quite because I think that Bucky has kind of been chasing. I don't know. Like he's almost been like holding up.
Yeah,
how do I describe it?
He's put Steve on a pedestal completely.
Exactly. No, thank you. That's the phrase that I was looking for. Yeah.
No, completely. And all I could hear during that sequence was you. I'm not sure if it was this episode, but last episode where you said that this is about Sam feeling like he deserves that shield. And I think that scene for me was not only that Sam deserves the shield, but that Bucky can stand behind him as an equal and a friend, and that he will follow Sam because he's the right person to do it. He is as good as Steve, even, and yeah. It was so good.
There's two other moments of the montage scene which I'm going to bring up. Yeah, there's two things which I thought one was a nice little reference and one was a terrible, terrible mistake. I think when his nephews were like on the steps, etc., and he's doing his runs, etc., I think he does say to them, "On your left," which is a good quote. Which at the end of the day, as Steve did to him in Winter Soldier.
Oh, I missed that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh no, that's actually quite cute now because I thought that was kind of dumb.
No. That was a callback to what Steve said. And again, because when in Endgame, when Falcon's on the comms to Cap, and again he calls back to that. He says, "On your left," and then the portals start to open, and then the whole scene. I'm not going to go into that because chills. Again, like that little moment. Also, more to the fact that I think that whole sequence kind of proved that Sam doesn't need to be a super soldier to use that shield. I mean, we've seen Walker use that shield pre-serum. Not as well, obviously.
No.
The whole montage was a great way of showing, like, he doesn't need serum. He doesn't need to have super strength like Bucky. He doesn't need to have any sort of powers. He can be Captain America without all that, which I thought was fantastic.
Because Sam is just that badass.
The moment where they fucked up was when I think basically Sam, in quotation marks, does like a forward flip or something like that. And it's not him.
It's so obviously not him.
It's so obviously not him.
Yeah, just yes.
Yeah. It's one of those moments. I mean, I have this with when I watch theatre stuff. When I used to do like lighting design, the lighting is one of those things that you don't want your audience to notice. If they notice it, you do it wrong. And it's exactly the same with the situation where I got taken out of that scene, out of the end of that whole sequence, because that was definitely not Anthony Mackie. And I get why, but you need to hide it better.
No, I'll give you that one. I will definitely give you that one.
I don't understand why people haven't been talking about that either. Like, I mean, when I was on the social media channels, no one was talking about the fact that was clearly not Sam, and it was terribly done.
We're purists, James. That's the problem.
It's the little things that I dwell on, clearly.
What do we think is in the Wakandan box? Wakandan box?
Do we? I think it is Turkish delight. No, I mean, surely we all know what that is. That is going to be the new Falcon / Captain America.
That's what I thought. Yeah. Okay. Cool. I'm just checking.
It's got to be. I mean, oh god. I mean, I get it. I get why they cut there. But he opened the box and I thought, here we go. And then it cut to credit. And I thought, yeah, I should have expected that. Because at the end of the day, I reckon the next time that we see Sam, it is going to be
in the suit.
In the suit, it is going to be that is. We're not going to have him in any sort of dialogue. We're going to jump straight into Carly at the. Oh Christ! What's the organisation called that we're supposed to care about?
GRC in the Pact Act. Yes, I wrote that down.
Yeah, the GRC that have somehow become a much bigger plot point that I forgot existed.
Before we go on to that, Carly is in hiding. She's so much in hiding, she's drinking Starbucks in the middle of New York. Can we just acknowledge that? God. I know. Carly needs to be hiding. Where can she go? I know. Central Park, New York City, drinking a Starbucks. I just was like, what?
Yeah, there was a couple of moments like that. I mean, even Sam says Torres says she's gone so far underground. She hasn't. She's in broad daylight. She's
gone so far underground. She's standing on top of it with a neon sign saying, "I'm here." Yeah.
Also, they're doing arms deals in broad daylight in the middle of New York.
I literally was just like, what?
And when Torres is sending surveillance to Sam, he's like, well, we've had all these pings from flag smashers all over Europe, but there was this odd one that was in New York. It might just be a glitch. It might just be a VPN. It's like, No.
Go look at the CCTV then. Oh, maddening. I just wanted to be like, no, guys, no. Like, either do it that you have everyone pinging in there. Do it at night if you're going to do an arms trade. Do it just anywhere else.
Has your opinion of Carly changed at all? Since you talked about episode 4, I was raising the point, what makes John Walker different from Carly at this point?
Yes.
And at the end of the day, she is acting more and more like a terrorist with each episode. I'm curious to see what happens in the... I mean, we know that Sam's going to try and talk her down again. Whether or not that works, I don't know. I suppose she wasn't as involved in this episode because it was less about her. It was more about Sam and Bucky. But did it change at all?
No.
Yeah, because I can't remember the guy's name, but whoever she's with says, "Are we working with terrorists now?" And she turns around and says, "Well, haven't you heard? We are terrorists." I'm like, yeah, you blew up a building and killed 3 people.
Yeah. I like that they at least admitted that they're terrorists. It makes it so much easier when they kill them.
Well, she admits that they're terrorists. I mean, I think that her followers at this point, like he's the one who's in the car when the building explodes, and he wasn't expecting it. He was shocked by it. So I think again, it's a case of her followers. Her followers are. She's got followers for the right reasons, but I think maybe the fact that Walker killed her other friend, but I don't also remember the name of. So all these nameless characters. Yeah, it's almost like at the end of the day, she's reacting to that death by almost becoming more extreme. In the same sense that at the end of the day, yeah, right, okay, sorry. Maybe I'm reading too much into this, but at the end of the day, John Walker killed because he was blinded by rage by the fact that Lamar got killed. She's not doing that to the same extent, but it's almost like it's part and partial. You see what I mean in terms of the parallels?
It's definitely.
They're two sides of the same spectrum almost. They're both fighting, well, Walker less and less these days, but they're both fighting for what they believe in, but going about it in the wrong way. So, if anything, I am curious to see what they do with her in this final episode. I'm hoping that they do something that not necessarily makes me like her, but likes the path that she's been on. I think there are more parallels between her and John Walker than the show is making it out.
Yeah, so it's Diego's death, I think, or was it Nico's death? No, it was Diego's death that was on the square, right? Whichever follower of hers that was died in the square. You all know what we're talking about.
Super Soldier number 3.
Yeah. To me, what I love about Carly's arc at the moment is that she has gone from a naive child, where people are sacrificing themselves for her, through to no one is going to listen to me, so I'm going to take matters into my own hands. And to me, that's where she's diverging from John, is that he's admitted defeat to some extent. And she hasn't.
No,
like he's
Well, the thing is, Walker is now. Well, he's not a man without a purpose. Obviously, he's been removed from his station. Legally, he has no power, but as we see from the mid-credit scene, he is not. And the fact that we've got Fontaine coming into the equation, basically, he's almost taking matters into his own hands because, again, it's obscured in terms of what he believes. But at the end of the day, it's this whole, going back to the thing I was saying about him being obsessed with this idea of being Captain America and obsessed with what that means. And what he's going to do is effectively try and take down Carly on his own as a vigilante, as all the superheroes in the Marvel are. But no doubt he's going to go about it in destructive ways.
I actually don't have anything to say. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
You heard it here. You heard it here, ladies and gentlemen. I'm right. There was no comeback.
No, I completely think you're right. To me, there hasn't been enough to signal which way they're going to present Carly at the end, beyond this kind of, hijacking / terrorist act. We know she's going to explode something. We know that she's going to have a secret ace. We know Sharon's going to somehow be brought into this. But I still think she's going to persuade John to work with her, not against her. Somehow. That was...
Ooh, that's an interesting point.
Because she is so good at persuading people. We saw with Sarah, the conversation with Carly and Sarah, why would they have established how strong Carly can be if we're not going to get to see her use that in an effective way, beyond just having arms by actually,
Yeah, I'll be honest. I'd be surprised if they do go down that route, simply because the whole where Walker is at the moment, that has all been fueled by Lamar's death, and then Carly killed Lamar. I don't think he's going to be able to see past that. And if he does, I'd be a bit disappointed. I think maybe Carly will somehow manipulate the situation to put Walker onto Sam and Bucky, but not necessarily convert him to her cause. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Okay. Well, I fundamentally, I just think that they're going to end up working together. My enemy's enemy is my friend, as you said. Then it's going to be...
Like Zemo.
Yeah, exactly. And so yeah, it's just that wonderful irony of him saying, how could you do that to Zemo? And he's going to do the exact same thing.
Oh my God. Sorry, I'm thinking more into this. And again, I might be reading too much into this, but...
Too late.
Well, I'm thinking of the parallels in terms of in terms of the enemy is my friend, Zemo working with Sam and Bucky. You've got John Walker, let's say, is an embodiment or an anti-Captain America. You could arguably say that Carly, being the super soldier, is the anti-Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
It's the 2 against 2. It's I don't know if they'll go down that route, but it's just a bit of an interesting parallel that I just suddenly thought of. It's going to be a kick-ass episode, one way or the other.
Yes, absolutely.
If this episode doesn't deliver, then there is a lot of pressure on this episode because they are building it up to be this basically all-out action finale, and I'm here for it. I'm ready.
Yeah. James, let's talk about the end credit scene. So we've discussed the fact that John Walker's making his own shield, which looks identical to Captain America, and is going to be bent by something really depressing because it's just steel, and I'm like, yeah, that's not going to fly as well as you think it is.
Oh no! By the power of Marvel, it will.
Yeah, because it looks suspiciously like the Captain America shield. Could it be that it's made by the same art department?
I mean, credit to, again, people on the internet picking apart trailers. Someone did actually question or post that there was 2 shots of a shield that Walker was carrying, and someone had done like a side-by-side comparison and said, "Is this the same shield?" And they were spot on.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they were spot on in the sense that basically, I think it was to do with the star in the centre. It was slightly different. Like, that was it. I mean, it might be the same shield. It might have just been a prop department problem.
So are you talking that it's the same shield in that after post-credit scene, or...
No, sorry. It's implying that basically in the trailers that were released for Falcon and the Winter Soldier, there were 2 shots of Walker holding Captain America's shield, but there was a slight difference between them.
Ah, okay.
And someone highlighted this, obviously putting it under a microscope and saying, is this the same shield, or is this just like an error in the trailer?
But no, it's not.
I don't know. It could have been an error in the trailer. It depends on what the shield looks like in the next episode. It goes back to what we keep saying about trailers and the fact that you've got to be very careful what you put in there, because people have pause buttons these days. Yes, Godzilla vs. Kong, I am looking at you. But we've already been down that road, so it's fine. No, I'm psyched for this. I'm really looking forward to it. But I'm still trying to measure my expectations because I don't want to be disappointed by it.
Yeah, I'm with you. I trust seeing Sam in the suit with the shield is going to be like, yay, he's finally done it. He's accepted his path. Yay. Yeah, I think that's it. Is there anything else? We can't wait for the next episode, and please deliver, Marvel. We've sat through 5 hours. Please. You can find Falcon and the Winter Soldier on Disney+. Thank you for listening to A Bit of Film podcast with Hatty and James. If you enjoyed it, please feel free to share it with your friends, families, and mortal enemies. And don't forget to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.
You can contact us through Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram, or you can always email us at abitofilm@gmail.com with new theories, opinions, and comments. We'd love to read them.